Fish is one of the easiest, most practical performance foods you can add to an athlete's diet. It delivers fast-digesting, high-quality protein alongside micronutrients and anti-inflammatory long-chain omega-3 fats that directly support recovery, endurance, cognition, and heart health. Protein from fish contains all the essential amino acids your body needs to repair muscle and rebuild after intense sessions, and fish is typically lower in saturated fat than many land animal proteins, so you get muscle repair building blocks without excess unhealthy fat. For athletes chasing gains or trying to squeeze recovery into back-to-back training days, a single cooked portion of fish is a compact way to hit a useful protein target. A 100-gram, cooked, portion of many common fish species supplies roughly 22 grams of protein. Increase to 150 grams, and you're getting approximately 33 grams of protein, which sits squarely in the range many sports nutritionists recommend for an effective post-workout meal. Beyond amino acids, fatty species such as salmon, mackerel, trout, and herring provide EPA and DHA, the long-chain omega-3s that modulate inflammation, support membrane function in neurons and muscle cells, and can blunt exercise-induced soreness. Those fats also help protect cardiovascular function under heavy training loads and may improve blood flow and recovery kinetics, small advantages that add up over a training season. That bright picture requires a practical caveat. Intensive aquaculture systems, especially those operated without strong regulation or oversight, sometimes rely on antibiotics to control disease. When antibiotics are used improperly, prophylactically, in non-therapeutic amounts, or without strict withdrawal periods, residues can remain in the edible tissue. Repeated ingestion of low levels of antibiotics is undesirable because it can contribute to the global public health problem of antimicrobial resistance, and it may interfere with a healthy gut microbiome, which many athletes rely on for digestion, immune resilience, and even mood. Antibiotic-resistant bacteria may also proliferate in crowded, poorly managed farms, potentially creating vectors for resistant strains to reach humans. Unlike persistent organic pollutants that concentrate in fat, antibiotic residues are distributed through tissue and are not reliably removed by trimming fat, soaking, or ordinary cooking. Freezing and standard cooking do not neutralize residue risks. The clearest and simplest control for athletes is to prevent exposure by choosing better managed products, rather than trying to remove residues at home. So what does choose better look like in practice? First, favor fish from producers that transparently report their health management and feed practices, and look for third-party certifications that require restricted or no non-therapeutic antibiotic use, and independent monitoring. Well-known certification schemes and sustainability programs, for example, the Aquaculture Stewardship Council, ASC, Best Aquaculture Practices, BAP, and various national organic aquaculture standards where they exist, set limits on antibiotic use and require record-keeping and audits. Similarly, choosing wild-caught fish certified by credible organizations, for example, programs focused on sustainable harvest, reduces the specific antibiotic risk vector common to intensive farms, although wild fish have other considerations like mercury or PCBs, depending on species and location. Government food safety authorities in many countries enforce maximum residue limits and monitor seafood, so buying from reputable retailers who source from inspected suppliers matters. Regional advisories can help you identify high-risk species or origins. Practically, that translates into rotating the species you eat. Don't rely on a single farm salmon every day, preferring smaller, short-lived oily fish when possible, sardines, anchovies, and buying from suppliers that list origin and farming certifications. If you train heavily and depend on fish as a primary protein source, it's worth seeking suppliers who publish feed composition and health management policies or who participate in recognized certification programs. How to fit fish into an athlete-friendly plan while minimizing risk. Aim for variety and balance. A practical weekly pattern might mix wild-caught and certified farm fish, include small oily fish for omega-3 power, and rotate in lean white fish for lower fat and lower contaminant potential. For recovery meals, combine a 100 to 150 gram serving of cooked fish is almost equal to 33 grams protein, with a source of carbohydrate to replenish glycogen and a vegetable for micronutrients and antioxidants. Examples that work well after a hard session include a piece of grilled salmon with sweet potato and steamed greens, canned sardines on whole grain toast with tomato and avocado, or a whitefish fillet with rice, and a colorful salad. If you are timing protein intake around training, a target of roughly 20 to 40 grams of high-quality protein in a single post-workout meal is a practical rule of thumb. For athletes tracking daily protein needs, most endurance and strength athletes benefit from somewhere in the neighborhood of 1.2 to 2.0 grams per kilogram of body weight per day, depending on training load and goals. For a 70-kilogram athlete, that range is about 84 to 140 grams per day, and fish can cover a large portion of that. When combined with dairy, eggs, legumes, or lean meats. Cooking and preparation choices also matter for both performance and safety. Gentle cooking methods like baking, poaching, or lightly pan-searing preserve amino acid quality and keep omega-3s intact. Avoid heavy frying, which can add oxidized fats and unnecessary calories. For athletes who need portability or quick meals, canned fish, sardines, tuna, salmon is convenient and shelf-stable, but pay attention to product origin and choose low-sodium options when possible. Canned oily fish are often a concentrated source of omega-3s and an inexpensive recovery protein. Be mindful that canned tuna and large predatory species may carry higher mercury levels, so rotate species and consult advisories if you eat them frequently. If you're choosing farmed fish, prefer suppliers that state their antibiotic policies and withdrawal practices. Labels claiming antibiotic-free can be helpful, but are only meaningful if backed by third-party verification. If you're an athlete who consumes fish multiple times per day or relies on one farmed source habitually, consider an audit of your supply chain. Ask your retailer where their fish come from, which farms they use, and whether those farms are certified or audited. If sourcing transparency is low, shift toward suppliers with clearer traceability or increase the proportion of wild-caught and small, short-lived species in your diet. For athletes who compete internationally or travel a lot, frozen fillets from reputable exporters with certification are often safer than unlabeled fresh local farmed fish from informal markets. Finally, don't neglect the broader context. Antibiotics in aquaculture is a modifiable risk that responds to consumer pressure and market demand. As more athletes, teams, and institutions insist on responsibly produced seafood, the supply chain responds. In the meantime, use fish as a strategic recovery tool. Appreciate its lean, rapidly absorbed protein and anti-inflammatory fats, while being pragmatic about sourcing, rotating species, and preferring certified or well-documented producers.